Ben Johnson is the offensive belle of the ball at this point, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He is the hot name out on the coaching circuit. He's getting a ton of interviews. There's a lot of interest in Ben Johnson, including from the Washington Commanders. So if you're Ben Johnson, you're the sexiest girl at the prom. Which job would you take of all of the now 8 available openings that are looking for new head coaches? Atlanta, New England, Washington, Seattle, the Chargers, Titans, Raiders, Panthers.
Well, you don't want Carolina.
Those are your 8 choices.
You don't want to work for that owner.
Well, Tepper already had interest in Ben Johnson last year.
Yeah, you don't want to work for him. That would be last on the list. Plus, they got zero talent, and Bryce Young really struggled.
Now, again, the thing that would sway him possibly is if David Tepper just decided to massively overpay him.
Correct.
Like, what if
someone's going to get the job.
What if David Tepper said, I'm going to make you the highest paid coach in the league?
Yeah,
like,
but you don't want to work for a maniac.
It's
because you could have a situation like you had in Houston where they gave the guy like $15 million or whatever to coach 1 year.
David Culley. But say he does take the Carolina job and it blows up in his face and he's gone after 3 seasons.
First of all, would you want to go work with Bryce Young at this point?
Probably not.
Would you want to try to fix that?
But I'm sure he has enough confidence in himself that he's like, I can fix him. I can make him right.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what Ben Johnson would think.
At least in Carolina, you have someone there. All right, he had a terrible year, but at least you have someone that was the number 1 overall pick. New England, you got nothing. Now, New England is probably going to have to draft somebody at 3. Maybe they draft.
Is that where they pick? They pick 3?
Yes.
I think they're at 3, yeah.
New England's at 3.
Yes.
The Cardinals are at 4.
I mean, if you're just looking at the quarterback situation, obviously the Chargers, they have the best quarterback.
Chargers might be the best spot.
They have the best quarterback situation. They've got Eckler. They got a legit number 1 receiver.
You can't do Seattle or you can't do New England because, like we said with Saban,
right?
I mean, you can't follow Carroll. You can't follow Belichick because it's hard to. You're just going to be in the shadows your first couple years.
But
and if you don't have, and if you don't have instant,
Carroll,
and if you don't have instant success, you're given more rope at some of these other places.
Atlanta would be intriguing because,
but they need a quarterback.
You need a quarterback, but they've got nice pieces on the offense,
right? Well, if you hit on a quarterback, he'll be throwing to Bijan out of the backfield.
And you're not in a
Pitts
tough
in
division.
Right.
It's not like the division is going to blow you away with 1 or 2 teams that are always going to win.
I think Washington is a top 2 or 3 destination for Ben Johnson because he'll have input on who the quarterback is.
And you're going to get a young quarterback.
You got a ton of cap space.
Yep.
You would think that the Harris ownership group is, methodical and they're going to let you take your time to build it. It's not going to be a David Tepper situation down in Carolina where he's a maniac and you might be done after 1 season, or you might not even make it to the end of the first season like Frank Reich.
Right. Now, if Snyder still owned this team, it's last on the list.
Absolutely.
It's even below Carolina.
Right.
But since now you've got a new ownership, going to go in the right direction, you hope that would be easy to work with. You're going to have a GM who's going to be highly regarded.
Right.
And like you said, you're going to have one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft.
That's attractive.
And you've got a lot of money to go fill holes on the offensive line.
The problem is, as somebody did point out, I was listening to Connor's podcast again. I'm addicted to his podcast. I think it was Bram. He had Bram on. And they only got like 26 guys, something like that, under contract for next year.
Yeah.
So all that money they have, it's not quite as much as you think. It's not like they have a full roster and $100 million in cap space. They got like half a roster.
All right. Well, you're gonna draft 8 or 9 guys,
and you throw in there's I think 5 picks in the top 102 picks in the upcoming draft. Like you can jumpstart the rebuild pretty quickly.
I would say the Chargers would be 1, Falcons 2, maybe Washington 3, just based on obviously Chargers.
You're saying who's 1?
I would probably go Chargers because you got what you think is a franchise quarterback, even though he's only been to 1 playoff game in 4 years. All right, but
he's obviously a very talented guy.
Yeah, and he hasn't been coached well. But they've got offensive pieces.
How long was Staley there? Did he only last
3 or 4 years?
I think this was his fourth
so.
year. Yeah, something like that. Atlanta's intriguing for the reasons I gave. I think Washington's intriguing because
I put us ahead of Atlanta.
I think Atlanta's already signed, seal, and deliver for Belichick.
Yeah,
it sounds like Arthur Blank just can't wait to sign Belichick.
But I wouldn't want Carolina for Ben Johnson. Nope. I wouldn't want New England for Ben Johnson. Vegas, I mean, you got some pieces offensively, but again, you need a quarterback. At least you kind of know what quarterback you're going to get, or have a short list of who you're going to get here
Let me
in
throw
Washington.
this out there. If Oakland doesn't hire Vegas, whatever the hell they are, they're freaking Oakland Raiders to me.
Yep.
Seattle's still in the AFC in my brain. If they don't hire Antonio Pierce, he should be in conversations with some of these jobs.
Oh, I think he will get if
I would agree
because
with
if
that.
he's
Davis
been
doesn't
awesome.
retain him, I think he will definitely get looks.
He
should.
has been
He deserves to.
awesome. And I would hope we'd interview him, to be honest with you. He's been super impressive. He played here. Anyway, I hope he gets that job in Vegas. And
So Staley was in Chargers for 3 years.
3 years.
Okay.
So he got fired out.
And what is his background? Defense? He's a defensive guy?
Defensive guy.
But
Yeah, he
big
was
analytics guy.
Yeah, he was a linebackers guy and a defensive coordinator for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say maybe he was just a linebackers coach for the Bears. But yeah, he's a defensive guy.
You can weigh in on the MGM National Harbor listener lines, 800-636-1067.
So you're Ben Johnson. Where are you going?
Which job is most attractive
If
to
you're
you?
Ben Johnson.
If you have the pick of the litter, which he basically
He
seems like he
to be
does.
the sexiest name out there, besides Harbaugh. Harbaugh's kind of sexy just because of what he's done in
sexy,
college.
but-
And
yeah, see, that's the other thing. Harbaugh's going to take one of these pieces.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way Harbaugh's going back to Michigan. I think he's going to.
not likely.
I think he's going to be in the
doesn't
NFL.
seem like it.
What if
maybe he goes-
What if Harbaugh just winds up at Alabama? What if Alabama
way.
just says, you know what, we're going for the big swing, lose Saban, plug in Harbaugh?
No, it's not.
I
gonna
mean, it's
work.
just a thought.
No, he's a Michigan guy. He ain't going to.
He's not.
Alabama.
He's going to go to the NFL. He's going to go to the Chargers or the Raiders. I can't see
Probably
him going.
most likely.
I can't see him going to any of those other spots.
What about here?
Don't see it.
Why? Because what if he's willing to work with a GM?
I don't know. I don't know if he is. It seems like he would probably want a lot of power.
I don't know if Josh Harris wants that sort of chaos in his first go-around with
Why does
his
everybody
first hire.
Why I know everyone says he's chaotic. Like you get chaos. The guy that we had, Mike Valenti or whatever, said he's chaos. Why is he chaos? I mean, honestly, I just watch from afar. I don't quite know. I mean, I know he's got in trouble with some of the recruiting stuff. But
Yeah.
Recruiting, the sign
Great question.
stealing.
Sign stealing.
I mean,
So that's a
there's-
great question.
I just wonder why he's chaos.
I don't know
Was
if
he
he's I don't know if
chaos when he was in San Fran?
I don't know if he's chaos. He just didn't get along with the GM.
I think he's a hard guy. I think he's a tough guy to get along with. Like, he comes in and probably just wants to do everything
but that could
exactly
be-
his own way.
That could be private between him.
It could be.
I mean, Bill probably wants to do things his way.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are all like
Look, I
alpha.
would hire him just because you're going to win with him.
Maybe
So I'm
got a pretty good
overlooking.
feeling
I'm
about
looking overlooking the chaotic personality if that's what it is, because you know you're going to win.
maybe the media circus. Maybe that's a better way to phrase it.
I would
'Cause
say
you know it's going to be a media circus if he's hired here.
Yeah.
He's awkward. I don't know if he's chaotic. Maybe awkward is the better word. But he's going to be somewhere. Belichick's going to be somewhere.
Yep.
All right. Carroll,
Johnson's going to get a chair. Ben Johnson.
no. Vrabel, I think Vrabel's going to be somewhere.
McDonald. So, Valdez gets so
McDonald.
tilted when I don't mention
I like Mike
this guy,
McDonald.
McDonald.
No. My thing is that everyone is just so high on Slowick and Johnson and these are the next up and coming superstars for your coach. And I said, well, you realize that a younger, sexier coordinator stuffed them in a locker and took their lunch money this year. His name's
That's
Mike
fine.
McDonald.
Mike McDonald.
That's fine. I'm still going to
All
err on the side of an offensive
all-
coach.
All that genius on the whiteboard that he's scribbling around for his play calling really got the Detroit Lions 10 points.
I like
Now you're forcing me to root against your guy, Mike
don't know.
McDonald.
I like Mike
For him
McDonald.
to be a big flop wherever he winds up.
I read a whole
C.J. Stroud got sacked like 8 times
But
in
look,
week 1.
there's only 8 spots right now. And if I had to put money on it, Harbaugh, Belichick, and Vrabel are going to have 3 of
All
them.
right,
You
but
got
where's
5.
Vrabel going to go?
I don't know.
Where's the fit for Vrabel if it's not New England? If Mayo goes to New England, I do believe that's been sort of in pencil for like 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah, like
So-
it seems like the fix is in for Mayo to
Yes,
take
it
over.
fixes
that.
it. Let's just
Maybe
assume,
it
for
is.
sake of argument.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
for 3, you didn't know Vrabel was going to be out of a job
Right.
3 years ago.
I understand. But they seem to love him. So if
I bet you they
Vrabel-
love Vrabel too.
Okay, so you're just convinced he's going there.
No, I'm not
Give me
convinced.
an alternative. That's all. Atlanta seems like they're going to take Bill.
And by the way,
I don't know, maybe
like,
Vegas.
another name to throw in
I just don't
here
know.
is
Maybe Vegas.
Maybe
like-
Vegas is the only one that makes sense.
if you're the Chargers, why wouldn't you take a flyer on Pete Carroll? Like, Pete Carroll's like the most energetic 72-year-old on the planet. He probably could coach at least 3 or 4 more years.
All right, maybe you're right. Maybe Carroll's getting a job.
I would guess some of these front offices are now intrigued by, you know what, Pete Carroll's available. Well, let's at least kick the tires and see if we're interested.
I guess my overall point is there's only 8 jobs, and there's way more than 8 names.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of names.
Sure.
Some of these guys aren't getting jobs. So,
maybe Vrabel doesn't. And I think Vrabel's excellent.
I would be surprised.
I think he's going to get a gig.
I'm just figuring where, though.
Yeah.
I'm asking where.
I mean, maybe with the Raiders. Maybe he lands there. Maybe he lands with the Chargers.
I feel like the Raiders are going to botch it if they don't hire
I could see him going to the Chargers, but if Harbaugh's going to the NFL, I would
say
think the
Harbaugh
Chargers.
goes to the Chargers.
That would be the number one choice.
Would you rather have Vrabel or Pierce, Eric?
Oh, Vrabel. Me.
Eric's very high on both of them.
I like Pierce, man. There's something about Pierce. I like him. But I like Vrabel. I think Vrabel's excellent and proven.
I think Pierce could be a good head coach.
I like Pierce.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, first of all, where Ben Johnson goes, because he's the hottest name of the coordinators. I mean, why can't Mike McDonald get a job? I think he could get a job.
He very well could.
What
he's interviewing with the Titans. I know they've requested an interview with him.
There you go.
Big Anthony Weaver guy.
Look, Carolina's got to hire someone, even though that's a disastrous owner.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
But someone's going to – one of these coordinators, one of the hot coordinator names is going to go to Carolina.
I think your Anthony Weaver is going to be the guy stuck when the musical chairs end without a chair.
Maybe Vrabel ends up there.
Possibility. Does he want to work for that psycho? I don't know.
Well,
we'll see.
You give him to give you $50 million. Yep.
And then you get fired after 15 games.
Yeah, then you thank the Lord.
Yeah, you say it's a great gig.
Yeah,
it's the greatest gig
you're
ever.
Playing Quail Hollow
every day. Yeah, you have preferred tea time every single day.
I don't know. I think.
So if you had to put money on it, Belichick to Atlanta.
That's
it just seems like Adam Schefter tweets every 10 minutes about him going to Atlanta.
Quinn to Seattle, Mayo to New England. Those are almost certainties in my brain.
Harbaugh to the Chargers.
Harbaugh to the Chargers
That's
makes
half
sense to me.
Or the Raiders.
That's half the vacancies already filled.
Right
there.
Now you're saying the Commanders basically get their pick of the litter.
No, I mean, it's just...
They get all the Slowicks and Ben Johnsons they want.
It's like musical chairs and
Mike McDonald's.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mike McDonald goes to the Commanders.
Oh, really?
I'm throwing that name out there.
You're just throwing a dart.
Dude, I read a profile.
Well, just because Harris likes the way the Ravens work. Mm-hmm. Right, he's not an offensive guy, but I still think.
I mean, I can see that happening.
It kind of depends on who he hires as a GM, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I read a profile on him. He's super impressive.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Did he start just like an intern watching tape for the Ravens as like a 20 or 21-year-old?
Yeah, he's been in the organization since he was like 23 years old.
Yeah. He was like coaching the freshman or JV team when he was like a senior in high school.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he went to college.
He's a boy genius.
Yeah, he was still coaching. I think he had his own high school team. And then at some point, he started at one of those schools. I can't remember if it was Georgia or wherever the hell it was. It's like an intern.
He was like a grad assistant or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a boy genius. Too bad he's on the wrong side of the football. That's the only chink in the armor.
I'm big Anthony Weaver guy. I think that's your.
If Anthony Weaver walked right in here and gave me a Twinkie, I would know it was him.
Well, he'd be probably 6'5", 260. I might know who he is.
No, I might think it was somebody else.
Some other silly pass rusher back in the day.
I just don't know him.
Don't you think by end of business tomorrow, at the latest Saturday, Commanders have announced their GM choice?
Yes.
Maybe by early next week.
The earliest, by the latest Monday.
Say Monday.
So you think it's going to be early
there's negotiations. Those things, it takes time. They don't just make announcements. You got to have...
I get that. How many guys have they interviewed? I think there's 4 or 5.
5 at least.
And Peters is one of them.
He's the top guy, according to...
I believe the assistant from Philly, Halabi, is getting his interview today.
I like that guy, too, but the bloom's off them a little bit with the Eagle swooning.
Yeah, but he's a silly analytics guy. We know Josh Harris likes that. He's a big fan.
So was Staley.
That is true.
That is true.
And he got run out of town.
I'm going to throw that in all the analytics guys' faces forever.
The good news is that there are a couple poo-poo jobs out there that these guys aren't going to want.
They don't want
bottom tier
jobs.
Ben Johnson already turned down his hometown team in Carolina.
Tennessee, the Raiders, and the Panthers are your bottom tier gigs, in my opinion.
Tennessee,
Carolina, and I think the Raiders gigs it's wallowing around in that same spot.
Just because of Davis?
Yeah, you got to whack
And the
a new
quarterback
owner.
situation.
Like, yeah, you don't have. I mean, you're dealing with Jimmy
and
Garoppolo,
New England's
Aiden
not that
You got a
good.
O'Connell.
number one receiver and a really good running back.
Yeah, and New England's probably not that great.
Right.
Yeah.
Besides organization structure.
Right. That's why I
trash.
think Chargers is probably number one if I was a candidate and I wanted to. You certainly want a quarterback already.
If I'm Ben Johnson, I probably would go San
No,
Diego or whatever. The
I think
Chargers.
Atlanta might be more appealing than the Chargers. The division's suckier.
I like Atlanta too. I think it's probably two. I would just
You're going to
rather.
look for a new
You just
quarterback,
gotta have a
obviously.
quarterback, though. I mean,
That's
unless
fine.
you promise me you can
but
get Kirk
Atlanta,
Cousins.
Atlanta's drafting in like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
They're not going to get one of the top quarterbacks unless they trade up.
Right.
Maybe they gamble with a Penix.
Or get Jaden or Russ or Kirk or trade for Fields.
Yep. There's a lot of pieces out
Yeah,
there.
Fields will be
lot
traded.
A lot of options.